Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Snyder. Hey, I'm coming to you from my kitchen. Since we're not able to demo or do any cooking, I thought I will give you a recipe each week and then show you the demo in my house. So this week we're doing chicken fajitas. Now, this is going along with what we've been studying, which is my plate. And we've been talking about proteins, vegetables, and fruits. And this week we're doing grains and dairy. So with this recipe, we're covering our grains, we're covering our vegetables, and we're covering our protein. And then we can add dairy to the product. We can also add a side for the fruits for it, okay? So I hope everyone's doing well, trying to keep up with the online. If you have questions, please remember, email me, get a hold of me so I can help you out. All right, so I loaded up there the recipe for you all. So it's called chicken fajitas. This is one of the recipes we do in our kitchen if we were there. And so let's talk about what our ingredients are. So we have chicken, we have olive oil, we have lime juice, we have our garlic, chili pepper, cumin, hot pepper flakes, black pepper, salt. We have our flour tortillas, onion, and green peppers. So, some of this I've already got it started for us so that we could get this going. Now remember, our recipes go in the order of use for our directions. So we have our chicken, which is on here. Chicken is a product we have not cooked with in our class. So I'm going to try to help you so you learn how to cook chicken to make sure it's done. The other ingredients that I told you about were the peppers, the onions. I'm also already used a couple red and orange peppers to add to this. We need the lime juice, the olive oil. We have our pepper, our salt. I'm doing already diced garlic. We have our cumin, our red peppers, and our chili pepper. I have cheese, and then I have our flour tortillas. I got the fajita size so that they go with the recipe that we're making. So let's start with our chicken. With chicken and any protein, we are using a boneless, skinless chicken breast. We're using our cutting board, and don't forget we need a chef's knife. Now, with our chicken breast, one thing we need to do that we haven't talked about is we want to trim it and get it so that it doesn't have any extra fat or anything on it. So we're going to check our chicken breast, and I'm going to cut off any fat products that I see that I want out of my chicken. I'm going to check to make sure that the veins and the muscles are cut out. That is the chewy part of chicken, and we don't want that in our recipe because that's the part we chew and chew and chew and can't break down. So once we have those done, we're going to take our chicken breast. First thing we want to do is cut it into slices. And because of the fact that when we're cooking in our class, we only have the 50 minutes. And so instead of having it just in the slices, we want to cube our chicken. We talked about cooking terms. Cube is one of those cooking terms, which means we want to cut it into a 1 by 1 square. So we're going to do that with our chicken. Make sure you're holding your chicken. Remember the claw technique that we talked about so that we're not cutting ourselves or hurting ourselves. Make sure with the knife, remember, we're pinching it between our fingers and holding it. So slice it into those. If you get some slices that are bigger than others, then what you want to do is take those and cut them even to make them smaller. So once we have those, we're going to put them in our bowl here with my other chicken. So we have that prepped. Now remember, chicken is, we can have a problem with cross-contamination. We talked about we need to wash our products after we're done with hot soapy water. So make sure before you start cutting any of your onions or your peppers that we need to wash both of these products before we do that so that we're not causing any cross-contamination and we're being safe. Don't forget also washing our hands. That has become even more important nowadays with everything that's going on and keeping us at home right now. So make sure you do that also when you get started and in between when you're cutting up your proteins, which is our chicken breast. So we have that done. I have it set aside for us. So the next thing we're going to work on is we're going to get our onion and our peppers done. So we're going to start with the onion. Now, one thing we talked about with the onion is the larger the slices, the more the taste is in the food item. So we need to make sure we're peeling off because we don't want the skin that comes on our onion. And then we're going to throw away the trash part. We don't need that. All right, remember with the onions though, we're using our claw technique, which is this so we don't hurt ourselves. So if you like onions a lot, then you can keep them in big slices. If not, remember I told you that we chop them as you can. I hope you remember I am not a huge onion fan, so I like to chop mine up in order to get it so it's not quite as potent. All right, now remember with the knife, we're using it in a rocking motion as we're cutting these. We don't want to be chopping it off of that. Don't think you're going to be able to do it too fast. You need to make sure you practice and do that. Get it to a size that you think you're able to handle. So I like to chop mine into more of a dice effect. That's another cooking term that we talked about. So hopefully you remember your cooking terms that we've been doing. So I'm not going to put the whole onion in here because I'm not the only one who's not crazy about onions and food products. So we want to make sure that we at least put some in there because of the flavor that it's going to add to our fajitas, okay? So once you're done, I'm just going to dump them in the bowl with my bell peppers. And then also besides the red and the orange, we're going to add a green bell pepper. So with the bell peppers, I've already washed mine, they're done. They have the seed part in it that we don't want. So we want to make sure that we take out the seed part and any kind of what they call the fleshy part, we want to cut those out because we just want the good part of the pepper. We need to make sure we're rinsing it out. We don't want any of the seeds left in the pepper, so make sure you wash those out. Now with bell peppers, we need to make sure that we're using it on the side that's going to be flat so that we don't have it roll and you can have a chance of cutting yourself. So with these, we're just going to cut them into thin slices. Make sure you're keeping up with your claw technique. There's no specific size that these need to be cut into. The smaller though you get them, the quicker they cook in the pan. So just keep that in mind with the peppers. And then we're going to put them in our bowl with our other peppers and our onions. So we have the preparation for those done. So now what we need to do is make our seasoning that's going to be going on to our fajitas. Now, remember we have those custard cups that we used at school. So I'm going to use one of mine. It's a little different than what we have at school. But we can make these ingredients. We can put them together because they're going together when we cook them. So we have the ingredients start with the lime juice. So we need 2 tablespoons of the lime juice. Okay. Now remember with liquids, when we do a liquid, we want to make sure there is a dome. So that way we know that we have gotten it in the correct measurement. So make sure when you do it, have that dome, just like that. Put that in your bowl. The next thing on our list, if you watch with the recipe that we have, it says that we need garlic. Well, I'm not using a garlic clove. I'm going to use the already pre-minced. It says use 1 garlic clove. Well, that is equal to, when we do it, if I can get it open, to 1 tablespoon. So 1 tablespoon equals 1 garlic clove. So get out 1 tablespoon, put that in your lime. Next is chili. We need 1/2 cup of our chili. So find your 1/2 teaspoon, not cup. That would make it really bad. Add it to your mixture. We need 1/2 cumin. This is our cumin that we're going to be using. So we need 1/2 of it also. Now, the red pepper flakes. If you like spicy and items that are hot, the red pepper flakes is what causes there to be a kick to this recipe. Now, I don't know if you remember, I talked about I'm not a really big spicy person. So I'm going to use less. On the recipe, it calls for 1/2 teaspoon. But since I'm not real big on spice, I'm only going to use a 1/4. I'm going to use half the measurement because I don't like a big kick in my food. I like to enjoy my food. All right. So next, we're going to go with our black pepper. That is also 1/2. 1/2 teaspoon. And then our last one is salt, which is also 1/2. So we have a lot of 1/2s in here. All right, so put it all into our dish. And then what I want you to do is go ahead and pre-mix it up so it's already mixed up for us. So when we get it ready and put it into our dish, it'll be done. So mix up all of those great seasoning. And it should look like that, and that is definitely enough to take care of what we are going to be making. All right, guys. So now we have all of our prep work done. So now we're getting ready we need to cook it. So let's look on here. It says heat oil in a large skillet over medium heat. We're gonna add the chicken, the chicken first. We're gonna put it in so that it is no longer pink. So I have my olive oil. So let's go over here to my stove with the chicken. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon for our oil. All right, so we're going to put that in our pan. I'm going to hang on to this tablespoon because we're going to need more vegetable oil when we get to our vegetables cooking. So we're going to put that around. All right, so I have a gas fire, so I'm going to get it on the medium so that it gets on here and gets ready. All right, guys, remember my favorite tool is the rubber spatula. This is Mrs. Snyder's favorite. So take your chicken squares that you've cut up. It's very important that when we put it in the pan, that we get it flat on the surface of the pan, that they're not overlapping each other. So that way each piece is getting cooked. So spread them out onto your pan. And then what we want to do is wait about 2 minutes. We're going to be looking for the bottom side to be turning white. You're going to be able to see that. It's going to take a little couple more minutes because I just turned on the stove. So it's going to heat up. But spread them out just like this for a single layer onto the stove, and then we just need to wait until they get pink on the bottom. Okay, so in about 2 minutes, what we're looking for is when you look at the chicken, if you'll notice, you're going to see white coming around the chicken. So now we're ready to flip it. So we need to flip the chicken over so that we get the pink part down so we can cook the other side of our chicken. So just take a minute to flip it all over. Once you do that, it should take about another 2 minutes to get the other side cooked. And then I'll show you what we're looking for so we know that our chicken is done. So let's get all of these. We're not wanting it to get too brown. We don't want to overcook our chicken. That's when our chicken kind of gets roughed and dried and it doesn't taste as moist as it should. All right, so we need to give it just a couple minutes here. As you can tell, it doesn't take long for chicken to cook. So we're just going to be waiting here for it to get done. The pieces are small enough that it cooks a lot quicker. It should take you roughly 5 minutes to do this process with the chicken. Once you flip it, kind of get your pieces apart. Now, we had 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now, chicken has moisture in it, so as it cooks, the water kind of seeps out, so we have more liquid at the bottom of the pan with the chicken, which is fine. That's what we want. Because once we eventually add the sauce and everything to it, that's going to help kind of make it cling to all of the items that we've cooked in here with the chicken, and once we get our green peppers done. All right, so after 2 minutes, here's what we want to do, the key to finding out if our chicken is done. So find the biggest piece that you have in here. And what we need to do is take the rubber spatula. We need to cut it in half. So what we're looking for when we cut it in half, we want to make sure there is no pink in our chicken. If we see no pink, then that means we're good to go, that the chicken's done. If you're not sure with the first one, find another big piece. Do the same process, cut it in half, see if there's no pink. If you're not finding any, then our chicken's done. So we need to get ready then to take our chicken and get it out of the pan so we can cook our vegetables. Now don't use the same bowl that the chicken was in, so I got a clean bowl that I'm going to put right here. And we're going to get our chicken and get it into our bowl. And then we're going to set this aside. Next, we need 1 more tablespoon of vegetable oil. Now don't worry about the chicken in the pan because we've just cooked it to 600 or 165 degrees. Yeah, 600, it would have been toast by now. So we know that it's been heated enough that it's killed any bacteria or anything in there, so we don't need to worry about salmonella. So take our vegetables and let's put them in the pan. Now the same time it's going to take to cook these. Spread them out. Now look how nice that is with having red and orange and the green. It makes it look really pretty. The more color you have in your food items, it makes your appetite even more. So it gives a nice variation of what we're doing. So spread them out. We're going to let these cook for about 2 minutes on one side, and then I'm going to flip them over. Now with onions, when you cut the onions, this we're using a yellow onion. They look white. We know onions are done when they look transparent, so it's almost like you can see through it. With the bell peppers, right now when we first put them in, they hold their shape. So what we're going to be looking for is as they cook, they're not going to come all the way unshaped, but they are going to get a little limper, and that's what we're looking for. We don't want our vegetables, our green peppers, to be soggy. That doesn't add a nice little crunch to when we do our chicken fajitas, so we do want a little bit of crispness to them, okay? So try to not keep stirring your products when they're in the pan, because then what happens is they don't get done on both sides. So you need to be a little patient as you're waiting for them in order for you to get it done. A lot of people like to keep stirring and mixing it up, and when you do that, they're not on the heat as much, so they don't cook as quickly. And with these recipes, when we do them in class, we only had 45 minutes, so we're trying to keep to that presentation of getting it done in that time frame. So after 2 minutes, what we want to do is then stir up our products and not let them escape like that one just did. If you can see, some of these onions are starting to get transparent. If you look at the smaller ones, doesn't take as long. Now the peppers are still in their shape, so another good 2 minutes and we're going to have these ready to where we're ready to continue on with our recipe. So once you spread them out again, like I said, just leave them alone. Don't keep mixing them because they won't cook, and we want to get them all the way cooked. All right, so they have cooked 2 minutes on both sides. So one of the bell peppers, I want to show you what it does. It's kind of lost its curliness to it. That's what we want. We want it to be waxed. Our onions are done. And it looks beautiful. Look at all those beautiful colors we have in here for our fajitas. All right, so once that's done, we are ready now. We want to add our chicken back into our vegetables. Let's get them mixed up in there. And the last step that we have is, remember our fajita seasoning that we did and we mixed together in our bowl? So we're going to get that into our pan. Use your rubber spatula so the seasoning that's sticking to the bowl comes out. We want all that goodness in our pan so we can enjoy the flavor. And then we want to mix all of this up together to get everything coated. We only need to let it cook for about 2 minutes. What that'll do is get the seasoning soaked into our chicken and then our vegetables. So get them all in there nice, mixed up. Now, while we're letting it get to the point where it's almost done and soaking in, one thing you can do is with your fajitas. If you want, you can heat these up so that you can use these either in the pan or in the microwave, whichever way that you want. I have 2 fajitas right here ready. You can add, if you want, cheese to your fajitas, maybe some sour cream. If you like lettuce or tomato that you might want to add, you can do that also into the fajitas. So we want to make sure that the chicken's reheated back up, that the vegetables are all coated, and everything is ready to go. So it is a very nice dish that we make. It's very colorful. It's bright. So hopefully it makes you feel a little happy on, since we're all been cooped up inside. So you want to get your tortillas. You're going to come over here, and then we're just going to scoop out what we want into our fajitas. I wished you were here so I could get everybody samples so they can taste it. Hopefully, give this a try at home if you're able to. Also, if you do cook this or something else, try to cook once a week. If you send and share pictures with me of you cooking, then we can add some points since we're missing actual cooking labs. So feel free to cook. If you can try to do the recipe I'm doing each week, that would be fabulous. I would love to see how yours turn out. So as I said, we are done with this. This is our chicken fajitas. I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you enjoyed watching. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Bye.